And while it may not be as popular as a one-day shopping event as years past, there are still a number of Canadians that will shop on Boxing Day or Boxing Week. With me now is Pat Pellegrini, CEO and President of Vivadata. Pat, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You know, some people might be surprised, Pat, but your data shows that 8.6 million Canadians are still shopping. Now, it's a week-long sale, right? As many retailers have done, it's not just one day anymore. Sure, there is Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but it's week-long deals. But take us through, what your data shows, too, in particular, about, those almost 9 million Canadians that are hitting the shops on Boxing Week.
Yeah, that's right. That number hasn't really drifted. It's just different. It's not the universal shopping day that it was for Canadians in the past. So, for example, it's much more regional. 33% more likely that residents in British Columbia and Vancouver will participate, but yet it under-indexes in Quebec, and it's about flat in Ontario. So there's some more regionality in it. It's also an older age group, 35 to 49, which is about 30% of the Canadian shoppers. And the younger without children are more likely to participate, but they represent a smaller group. So it's not the same as it was in the past, where sort of this big week right after Christmas where people would sort of line up, but it's definitely still there. Same levels as in the past. In fact, it's gone up a little bit for higher income, but just by a few percentages. And a lot of that is driven by online, where people find that convenient. They get to really shop around for selection. And they're online because they're looking at influencers and people who are telling them about brands, and they trust that. So our Boxing Day shopper, higher engaged shopper, is saying that they are much more digital. They're looking at influencers, they're looking online. They'll still go to malls, but there's a lot of that online.
It's interesting. So 35 to 49 age group, it's right in my age group. And I remember the days, right, of lining up. It was lining up on Boxing Day. It wasn't Black Friday when I was younger. I feel like that's carrying over. Now, I'm curious, too, because reading through some of the data, it's more intentional purchases, right? Whereas Black Friday, Cyber Monday can maybe be a little bit more, off the whim, and people making impulse purchases. People are being intentional about what they buy in those days, either just before or after Christmas.
That's exactly right. They have done some research. There's a lot more impulse shopping during the big American-driven days, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Here, what we're seeing, even you see that in the categories. So what we called it was like a closet reset. The items, the areas where there's going to be higher expenditure: women's apparel, men's apparel. Not more discretionary things like jewelry, even toys is around level with a regular day. So you have people who've planned ahead. They know what they're looking for. They will still be influenced by, a great deal, but they're definitely looking for certain items. So it's much more purposeful, intentional, planned shopping on Boxing Day.
I know. I feel like as we're talking about it, I've been looking at some Boxing Day deals, so it is certainly interesting. Pat Pellegrini, CEO and President of Vivadata, thanks so much for this. I appreciate your insight.